Today we're on chapter 3. It's called Boys and Noise. I ran and ran inside my hamster wheel, trying to steer it away from the snake. Suddenly, I was blinded by a bright light. "There you are, Humphrey!" Miranda shouted. She scooped up my hamster ball and held it in her hands. "Thanks, thanks, thanks," I squeaked. "You saved my life." "Don't be afraid," Miranda said. "That's just the hose. It can't hurt you." Whew! So the fur-raising snake was really just a harmless hose. But I had to admit that creepy crawly creatures were a little bit scary after all. The girls decided it was time to go inside the tent. There were 4 sleeping bags on the ground. My cage was on a small wooden table, and Miranda set me inside. It was dark inside. It was dark outside, but it was light inside. There was a tall electric lantern on the table, and the girls had their flashlights. Heidi taught her friends a funny thing called Morse code. She had cards with dots and dashes on them. The dots and dashes could be used to spell out words. Girls could use their flashlights to send each other messages on the tent ceiling. Here they are, using their flashlights and the messages on the tent ceiling. They flicked them on and off to make long and short flashes. The short flashes were dots. The long ones were dashes. I didn't have a card, but after Saya flicked her flashlight a few times, Miranda said, "You spelled hello." Heidi spelled a longer word, camping, Saya said. Miranda spelled a really long word. Gail shouted, "Humphrey!" and everyone laughed. I'd never seen my name in Morse code before. Next, Heidi switched on a little box that played music. Soon the girls were all dancing and acting silly. I did a little dancing myself. Dancing made me forget all about creepy, crawly creatures. There's Humphrey dancing. The music was loud, loud, loud. But suddenly, I couldn't hear the music anymore. I heard a noise that was even louder. It was a whooping, howling, laughing kind of noise. It was coming from outside the tent. "What's going on?" Heidi asked. She turned down the music. "I think it's coming from Richie's yard," Gail said. Richie was also in room 26, and he lived next door to Heidi. The girls peeked through the tent flap. "Art and Seth are there with Richie," Miranda said, "and they have a tent set up in the backyard too." The noise was very, very loud. The boys shouted and shrieked and ran around waving their arms. Heidi turned up the music. As the music inside the tent got louder, the boys got louder too. "That's it," Heidi said, turning off the music. "I'm going to tell them to be quiet." Miranda and Gail took their flashlights and went outside with Heidi. Saya took me out of my cage and gently held me in her hands. "You come too, Humphrey," she said. When we got near the fence, Heidi shouted, "Could you please keep it down? We're having a party over here." "And we're having a party over here," Richie shouted back. Then Art noticed me. "Hi, Humphrey," he said. "Why don't you come over here?" "Yes," Seth said. "You're a boy too. You belong here." It's true. I am a boy. But Mrs. Brisbane sent me home with Heidi for the weekend. It was my job to stay with Heidi. Art and Seth started making whooping and howling noises again. "Aren't you girls afraid of the dark?" Richie asked. "I know they're afraid of spiders," Art said. "We are not," Heidi answered. Then the boys started talking about the bad things that might be outside at night. Art made a scary face. "Creepy things, crawly things," he said. "Howling things, growling things," Seth said. "Ghost and goblin things," Richie said. "Ooh." Miranda folded her arms and walked up to the fence. "Girls aren't afraid of anything," she said. Then the boys said, "Boys aren't afraid of anything either," Seth said. They're going back and forth in their backyards. The girls versus the boys. "Ha!" Gail, Heidi, and Saya huffed. "Really?" I squeaked. "Hamsters aren't afraid of many things except large furry creatures with huge teeth like dogs and cats." "I'm not sure about the other scary things the boys described." "Forget the boys," Heidi said. "Let's have some fun." Once we were back in the tent, Saya put me in my cage. The girls tried to ignore the noisy boys. They sat around the lantern and made bracelets out of colorful pieces of string. "We should make a friendship bracelet for Humphrey," Heidi said. "It would have to be a tiny one," Gail said. "But he is our friend," Saya said in her soft voice. "Yes, yes, yes," I squeaked, which made Gail giggle. "Of course," Gail said. Saya tied a friendship bracelet to my cage, which was unsqueakably nice. After a while, the boys stopped making noise. It was nice and quiet. Maybe it was a little too quiet. "I guess the boys got tired," Heidi said. "Maybe they're afraid of the dark," Gail said. I heard some shuffling and whispering kinds of sounds. "Something's out there," Saya whispered. "It sounds like it's near the tent," Miranda said. "Let's see." The girls quickly picked up their flashlights and tiptoed to the tent flap. "There's something in the grass," Gail whispered. "It's a great big snake!" Heidi shouted. "Eek!" The girls screamed. They raced towards the house, leaving me all alone in the tent. "Eek!" I squeaked. "Take me with you!" But they were too far away to hear me. So I did what any small hamster would do. I hid in my bedding and I tried to be very still. It wasn't easy because I was quivering and shivering. Then I heard laughter. I don't think snakes laugh. So I poked my head out of the bedding. "Did you see those girls run away?" I heard a voice say. It was Seth talking. The other boys laughed. I climbed to the top of my cage so I could see through the tent flap. There's Humphrey, looking in through the tent flap at those boys. There was a snake outside. It was very, very, very long. It had a big pointed tongue sticking out of its mouth. It was also very bright green, and it wasn't moving at all. I could hear the boys laughing wildly. "I didn't think girls could run so fast," Richie hooted. "Or scream so loudly," Seth said. Art howled with laughter. "And at a rubber snake! I thought girls weren't afraid of anything." Aha! So the snake wasn't real. It was a fake snake the boys had placed near the tent. "That's not nice," I squeaked, but the boys were making too much noise to hear me. I was upset that the boys had tried to scare the girls, but I was happy that the long green snake wasn't real. That's the end of chapter 3. I wonder what's gonna happen next. Do you think maybe the girls are gonna find out that the snake wasn't real and they're gonna try to get back at the boys? I wonder what part Humphrey's gonna play in all of this. See you later.